Closed captioning for the Casey Malone Show is sponsored by Hunter Stevens Land Title Agency. Integrity, service, and commitment you can trust.
Oh yeah, Casey Malone is serving up local. It's time for the stories of our region, the tastes, the sights, the sounds, and the people in and around the valley. Get ready for some local flavor on the Casey Malone Show.
Today we visit Pop. Art, books, culture. It's a place with lots of interesting finds. And I prepared Gladys Bourdain's baked mac and cheese. But first, the monthly reader series. The first Wednesday each month, Lit Youngstown hosts the Reader Series at Westside Bowl in Youngstown. Published writers read their work, and the open mic portion gives poets and writers the opportunity to share their work and get feedback. Lit Youngstown's mission is to promote the literary arts in the Mahoning Valley. And to have the writers engage with a live audience is so refreshing. It's a nice change for our screen-obsessed culture. We are here in the bunker, also known as the Trophy Room over at Westside Bowl, and that is now the new location for Lit Youngstown. And Karen Schubert is the director. You are in your 10th year. And what made you form Lit Youngstown? What was Youngstown or the Mahoning Valley lacking?
I lived in Cleveland when I was pursuing my Master in Fine Arts in Creative Writing through the Neo-MFA program. And there were so many literary arts nonprofits there. And when I came back to Youngstown, I really thought we could try some things here, especially knowing that there was this incredible tradition. You and I were just chatting about the readings at Cedars.
The Cedars.
Right, all the bookstores that were here.
You think of all the guys that came through.
Exactly. And a lot of people were telling me about those things that happened before I was here. And I know I loved meeting visiting writers in my program and hearing the Cleveland writers share their work. So I thought, well, I think we can let's just give it a go and see what happens.
In the space between love's orchard blooms and luscious lingering curves, between the whisper of his fingers and the crackle in my flesh.
It's not just the poetry. I mean, you had so many different styles here. We had an article for a magazine. And then, Chris had a play, and then Jennifer had all kind of different forms of writing. So, and that is what Lit Youngstown is all about. I mean, it is all about the written word, no matter what type it is. Right.
So for every first Wednesday for 10 years, since February of 2015, we have had 2 readers come in and some of our local from the Valley and from as far away as Indiana, Michigan, Pennsylvania.
Where do you find them? You're obviously an avid reader and you're local.
Yes, I meet them at conferences. I see their work in journals, online. They've been finding us lately. If everyone says yes on my invitation list, it's a 10-year long.
You're gonna have to do more than one first Wednesday a month. We're gonna have to do it like every Wednesday.
Right. So
because it's such a solo journey. As a writer, you're all alone.
Right.
It's solitaire. Yeah. And I think you really do need feedback because you're so in your own head.
And I think a person doing this solitary act isn't always aware of what a big community they're part of.
Yes.
And so I really see that as part of our mission. We have all year we're bringing in writers from all over the place. The Fall Literary Festival, we have 300 writers coming in from all over the country. And just to feel like the work you're doing is communicating with all this other work that's going on.
Right. I mean, you're really building a community that is really necessary.
You were confident and bold. I was Tonto, Ed McMahon, Chewbacca, Dr. Watson, Ron Weasley, and fine with it. I was the guy with the quick and quirky joke.
You know, I hear people say, oh, no one reads books anymore, no one reads poetry anymore. And I think, well, I know thousands of people who are reading
Yes.
books and poetry. So it's not only us finding our people, but also we're bringing that back into our lives, right? Like, we can fill our kids and grandkids' lives with stories and give them books so they own their own books and they grow up. You know, we just had the winter writing camp, and one thing I love about that event is that it's kids and adults writing together all day. So they separate out into their peer groups. It's kids writing with other kids, and maybe in their school they feel unusual, right? But there they are with other kids who are also writing, and then at the end of the day we all come together and we read our work together. So the shy adults are like, wow, she's 7 and she was brave enough to read. I'm going to share my work too.
Wow.
Right? Yeah. It just kind of underscores that it's important, you know, for so many reasons, right?
I met my younger self for coffee today. She arrived 30 minutes early and sat in her car until she saw me pull in. I strolled in 5 minutes late.
She lives in my chest like the air in my lungs. I breathe her in and I feel her fullness of her in my chest. I love her bloodied knuckles and scrutinizing eyes.
One of the featured speakers is Christopher Johnston. And you came in from Cleveland. You're a journalist.
Yes.
And also a playwright.
Yes, I am.
So part of your journalism is freelancing.
Yes.
So you pick up articles, you know, in subject matter that you find interesting.
Yes.
And human trafficking. I mean, that really has to take a lot out of you when you do this research and see what is going on, you know, under the surface. You know, human trafficking, people think it's people coming over the border and being taken advantage of.
Right.
But I mean, it is happening with your spouse or your boyfriend or someone really that is close to you in that manipulation.
Yeah, Julia's case and Kayla, it's kind of a domestic, intimate partner violence situation, but it happens throughout the U.S., small towns, big towns, every state, every country in the world. The estimates are between 20 and 40 million people are being trafficked worldwide. So it's everywhere, which is what drew my interest because I'm not a police officer, I'm not a nurse or a doctor. This is the way that I can help by bringing awareness as a journalist.
I mean, it's a heavy topic. What else do you write about to kind of lighten your load? Because, I mean, that would be hard to live with all the time.
It is, but I always try to focus on the heroes, the white hats.
Right. Yes.
And that makes it easier for me. And I do interview survivors who've been through hell and
They've come out on top.
Yeah, and I'm inspired by their success, their resilience. Many of them go back into the field to help others.
Yes.
I'm actually writing a book now about a young woman in California who was trafficked as a child and as a young adult. But now she's a nationally recognized survivor leader who's helping other survivors of trafficking.
To recognize. I mean, really, there's so many things that I think people miss. And I know there's courses and there's, you know, all these warning signs that, you know, the average person, you know, sees something, say something.
Yes.
And it really is an interesting topic. And you were really great tonight.
Oh, thank you.
And are you going to come back to our fair city?
If I'm invited, I'd be happy
I
to.
like, you know, the spoken word. It really is interesting. Do you do this quite a bit?
I haven't done it as much. When my book came out, I did back in 2018, I did a lot more public speaking, but I do it once in a while. It's something that people don't really know much about, and I've immersed myself in it and working with trafficking task forces and survivors and everybody. So, excuse me, I am happy to talk about it and let people know what it really means, how it really manifests in our communities.
The Casey Malone Show will be right back with more local flavor.
This is GABA Camp, barrier-free camping and nature for our friends with disabilities. Thank you for your generous donations. We now have our first phase, but more work needs to be done. A lodge will provide a meeting place and food service for our adults with disabilities and their families. GABA Camp is a 501c3 organization. We need your help to grow. Donate to GABA Camp. Giving is living.
Sweet Memories Vintage Teas and Candy in Liberty, a store like no other. Step through our doors and travel back in time. Remember the nostalgic candy, vintage sodas, and retro toys you thought were gone forever? You'll find all your classic favorites and so much more. Because memories are best when shared, we give back to local charities. Sweet Memories Vintage Teas and Candy, bringing you joy one memory at a time.
Weight loss goals aren't one size fits all. At Hurricane Health and Wellness, we understand the struggle. We've been there too. That's why we offer the most popular, effective weight loss medications at an affordable price. Look and feel your best today with Hurricane Health and Wellness.
Don't miss Angels for Animals gigantic garage sale, April 11th through the 13th at the fairgrounds.
Shop C-Max Northside Appliance in Struthers, the local appliance store that beats big box prices every day.
Regeneration serving Youngstown, Ohio, soon to be our fourth.
You better come on in my kitchen.
Today I'm going to share a really great recipe with you. I love macaroni and cheese. It is the perfect food. It's cheesy and creamy, and the noodles. Well, it does take a little bit of work when you make it from scratch, because you have the roux, then you have the cheese and all the different milks and all that stuff. But I found this recipe. It is from Gladys Bourdain. It is Anthony's mother, and it's called baked macaroni and cheese. And it is so quick, easy, and simple that you might start making it this way all the time. Very few ingredients. You're only going to use the pot that you boil the noodles in, and then the baking dish. That's it. Those are all the dishes that you're going to dirty up. So I've made this a few times. It's really good. It's easy, and I am excited to share it with you. So let's go over the ingredients, and we are going to make Gladys Bourdain's baked mac and cheese. For this recipe, you'll need 1 pound of short macaroni, like an elbow, penne, or shells, 3/4 teaspoon of salt, pepper to taste, 16 ounces, about 4 cups of shredded sharp cheddar cheese, 2 tablespoons of stick butter, and 1 quart, 4 cups of whole milk. Preheat your oven to 400 degrees. I've got the water boiling, so I'm going to drop in my noodle. It's a cavatappi. It's like a little springy elbow. And cook it 3 to 4 minutes under what they recommend. This is 11, so I'm gonna cook this for about 7 minutes. Well, I drained the noodles and I greased the pan, and we will now start assembling this. It's almost like a scallop potato. You do it in thirds. So you're gonna take about 1/3 of the noodles, that looks about right, and then you will salt and pepper, and we're gonna add about 1/3 of the cheese. All right, and a reminder, I've told you this before, you know, they put additives in those pre-shredded cheeses, and I know it's an extra step, but make sure you do your own shredding, because it really does make a difference with the melt. There's some kind of an additive to make sure that the cheese doesn't stick together. And then you just throw in a few dollops of the butter. All right, randomly do that. Then we're gonna make another layer of the noodles. Okay, there we go. And we spread that out. So now it's finished. We've got the 3rd layer on, and we are just gonna add a little more salt. Remember, you can always pass it at the table. Pepper, I do love my pepper. And then the final cheese drop. So we put this, got it evenly spread all over. And remember not to tamp this down, because then it will get really condensed and it'll be like a brick. So you don't want to tamp it down. And I know I've got cheese everywhere. I spill it. And then we're going to do the butter. And we'll just drop that. And it melts really nice and distributes. And then the last of the butter. And now the milk. Now she calls for 4 cups. That might be a bit much for this dish. Last time I made it, it took about 3.5. And all we do is just pour this over. You don't want it to run over. Well, I finished it. Okay, all the cups made it this time. And then I'm going to throw it in the oven for 45 minutes to an hour. Now, I like it a little crispy on top. So we're going to check it at 45, and if it's, done enough, we'll pull it out. And if you like it really crispy on top, you can always stick it under the broiler for a few minutes. But we're going to start checking this at 45 minutes. Ta-da! There it is. Now, I like it crispy on top, so I let it go for an hour. If you like it a little softer, might only be good for 45 minutes. So, but look at that. Is that a nice looking dish or what? And what I really like about it is it's one and done. You put it in the pan and see all that goodness. It's the perfect food. I love macaroni and cheese. I love it. So it's nice, it's piping hot. I took a little bit of the crisp stuff. It's terrific. It really is. Now, I made it exactly as Gladys made it, but you could do any of the additions. Sometimes I put like a little Cajun seasoning in, or I talked to my girlfriend Rennie. She likes to put in chopped jalapenos, whatever you want, but that is the basic recipe. Of course, different cheeses too. So go to my website, CaseyMaloneShow.com, and look for the baked macaroni and cheese, because I really think this is a convenient way to do it without dirtying a bunch of pots and pans. And I think the perfect accompaniment, just good old lemonade. Perfect with macaroni and cheese. Go to my website, look for this recipe. You're really gonna love it.
The Casey Malone Show will be right back with more local flavor.
At Kamara, we want to help you find a ring that's as unique as your love. We'll guide you through the entire process, from deciding between natural and lab-grown diamonds, discovering the perfect stone, to finding the setting that fits your style. And with our in-store repair services, we'll make sure your ring looks stunning for years to come. Whether you're looking for timeless elegance or a modern twist, we'll work with you and your price range to find the perfect ring.
Get real, get Kamara.
Bobby Fellman. And I'm John Stanko from Boardman Subaru, where the Subaru A Lot to Love event is going on now.
Check out some of the safest vehicles on the road with standard EyeSight driver assist technology and symmetrical all-wheel drive.
Test drive the Subaru Crosstrek, named a Best New Car by Auto Trader and a 2-time Car and Driver Editor's Choice.
Award-winning vehicles and award-winning service.
Only at Boardman Subaru, just south of Route 224 on South Avenue.
I'm Elizabeth Bernard. For more than 30 years, I've provided our Valley with sound legal advice. My associate Jennifer Rigetti and I will be your legal representatives if you're involved in a car, truck, or motorcycle accident. Don't try to handle it yourself. We'll navigate the red tape of dealing with doctors, medical insurance, and all the obstacles that you'll face. Remember, there are no upfront fees on personal injury cases, and hiring a lawyer does not mean you have to go to court.
Call attorney Elizabeth Bernard, local legal experience for more than 30 years.
Locally sourced is good, whether it's ingredients or a bank, and that's why my bank is Farmers National Bank. Since 1887, Farmers has remained rock solid through every economic condition. Having a bank with a history of safety, soundness, and conservative management is a must. It all boils down to this. You need a bank that will help you reach your goals. I do too, and Farmers is mine. Farmers National Bank, rock solid.
Rulli Brothers is way ahead of the competition. Check out Rulli Spice World, where you can buy bulk herbs and spices, plus candies, nuts, and fillings for pennies on the dollar. At Rulli Brothers Market, our family is in the store.
Craig Dester is the owner of a used bookstore and art store and comic book store right here on Market Street in Boardman. Please pronounce the name of your business for me.
This is
Because there's an exclamation mark.
There is. It's POP! Exclamation point. Art, books, culture.
So it's POP.
It's POP.
POP.
We're an award-winning bookstore. We've won the Vindicator Reader's Choice Award in
Really?
2024
Well,
and 2023.
excuse me.
Yeah, so
Walking
I
in
mean
some tall grass.
that's a nice award because it came from people who shop here.
You came from Colorado.
Yes.
And when you opened this store, where did you get all the used books? I mean, how did you acquire those?
Some of these books come from donations.
Right.
Some of them we did purchase kind of on the secondary market, but most of these books come from people bringing them in for store credit. The nice thing about used bookstores is that they're really kind of a reflection of the community, because it's people from the city bring their books here and want to share them with somebody else. And people have an aversion to like throwing, they do not want to throw away books.
And it's, you don't know what to do with them. The library can only take so many.
Exactly. We have a book club that meets here. It meets twice a month. It's one book club. There's 2 sessions because it had actually grown so large. We had to split it up into 2.
Nice.
So yeah, so that's nice. We also have a we call it the Slow Readers Fantasy Book Club.
Okay.
So I've had several people approach me wanting to do fantasy books for our book clubs, and I've always said no because they tend to be very large books, not something you can read in a month. But somebody approached me with this really great idea that they would break it down into 200-page chunks, and we would read a book that way and break it down, so it'd be like 2 or 3 months or more of that book, and then we just discuss the 200-page chunks at a time. So
other than the used books, though, your real passion lies in your comics.
Well, I do enjoy comics. That is really where I started to read. I was never a big reader really until I started at the store, but I'd always been a big fan of comics and graphic novels. I had some side businesses before the store opened, doing some different things with that. That is really where my passion lies. That and I also really enjoy selling the artwork here too. So those are the 2 things.
No, I mean you really have. So do they come in just with their artwork, and you kind of you are the judge and jury on that?
Well, a lot, yeah. So I mean, we take in a lot of local artists. It's hard for local artists to. I mean, a lot of times it's hard for local artists to even envision themselves being, an artist. Yeah, exactly. So this gives a venue for people to show their artwork.
And do you find that other people are looking for that stuff, and it sells pretty well here?
Yeah, I mean, people, especially in this area, I think people are always looking local first. People want local artists. They want to represent the community, and when they find somebody that they like, that they can show. That they can proudly hang on their wall. It's somebody, it's not just like a typical thing that you buy at Target or wherever. It is something different, and it represents the community. So, and we get a lot of, and there's a toy store next door, and a lot of those people kind of come in and hit both when they can.
Yeah. What about your journey to Youngstown? So, Colorado is really where you're from.
Yeah. I spent, I think, 40 some odd years, and we lived in Colorado.
Your wife is from this area.
My wife is from this area.
So she met you out in Colorado?
Yeah, we met in Colorado. We got married.
And then what made you come to our area?
We had family out here. My mother-in-law lives in Canfield. And then additionally, there was, we kind of needed a change. We kind of got it priced out of Colorado, which I think has happened, unfortunately, to a lot of people. And my wife was coming out here. She had worked for the schools and was coming out here for 2-3 months during the summer anyway, and it was just seemed natural to kind of make that jump.
What's the process if I do want to sell you some books?
Well, so we never buy books, but you can trade books in for store credit. We have some guidelines on our website at popabcstore.com. Our general philosophy is that every book deserves at least one more chance to get read. There are some books that we can't take in, or we get so many of them that it really kind of clogs things up. Like, we don't take in romance novels or cookbooks and things like that, because we get so many of them like donated in the first place. But like sci-fi fantasy books, we'll take in as many as you have. We try to limit it to about 25 at a time for everything else, like fiction and detective and thriller, things like that, just because it's just me processing them, so I need to get them out on the shelves as opposed to the second bookstore that I have that's in my stockroom right now trying to get out. So comics and graphic novels, we will occasionally buy for cash, but it's a little bit different.
It's more like a collector or something like that.
Exactly, and our needs for comics are a lot different than, say, like a lot of the comic book stores, because really, like I said, our comic books are discount comic books. They're the comics that people read as opposed to the ones that they collect. So
now, if I wanted to join in on, your book clubs, and you have a lot of different events that you hold.
We do, yeah. So we do. We have a book club that meets once a month. It meets twice a month. It's one book, but we broke it into two groups so make it to accommodate our customers a little bit better. And then we have,
and you always are accepting new members?
There's really no members. You just show up. Just show up. You read the book and then you show up. And then we have there's the Slow Readers Book Club that we talked about. I'm thinking about starting a third book club for people that specifically focuses on super short books. On average, most Americans will read 12 books a year, but that number is the average. So that incorporates all the people that read like 100 books, 150 books a year, and also the people who read 0. So that average incorporates all that. But the fact of the matter is, I don't think I've ever met anybody who said they wanted to read less. Everybody always wants to read more.
Exactly.
So, and finding strategies and finding ways to do it are and finding something that works for you, whether it's audiobooks. Ebooks are available now. We can get ebooks through our partnership with bookshop.org. You can get, if you wanted new books, we also have a partnership with bookshop.org.
So if I came in here and wanted to order the latest, New York Times,
I would give you a contact information for Bookshop, and they would, we get a cut of that, but you would order it from them and they send it directly to your door, just like Amazon, except you're not paying to shoot billionaires into space. So
The Casey Malone Show is sponsored in part by Denise and John York and the DeBartolo Corporation.